You can't not know what your lead costs are if you're running paid traffic. You can't not know how many of those leads you need to win a customer. So that's your cost per acquisition. You can't not know, or you'd be foolish to not know anyway, what your lifetime value is of a customer. If you want to be doing more jobs, you're needing to be getting more leads. In order to be getting more leads, you need a better sales process. It's very hard to scale, if not impossible to scale referrals. In my experience, I've never seen anyone do it very well. This episode, as always, the first one of the year, we dive into some takeaways from the previous year and we explore some of the opportunities looking forward for what that looks like in the new year. So a couple of key takeaways, I suppose, from 2024. Well, the main key takeaway anyway would have been the the access of AI, artificial intelligence, which entered into the marketplace. ChatGPT came onto the scene, which blew a lot of minds. It's still blowing a lot of minds and has opened up a whirlpool of opportunities. And although AI itself is not necessarily a new thing, it's been around for quite a long time, well, since the 50s, to be honest with you, the access to it now is sort of at our fingertips. And it's had a huge ripple effect in all areas of business. And I'm going to explore some of those in a little bit. The integration of AI in trade businesses, especially in the operational side, has been radically accelerating things in the space of efficiencies, productivity, and a million other things. And we've seen it firsthand, obviously, as a digital agency for tradespeople. Like the things that we've been able to deploy over there from a marketing perspective and system perspective has just been fantastic. It's been amazing. It's truthfully one of the biggest revelations. It is the biggest revelation that I've certainly ever seen in 12 years of running our agency. And I'm just so stoked on this opportunity for you guys out there looking forward, provided, of course, that you make the decision and you embrace it. So some of those key opportunities in 2025, what we can look forward to is, and again, provided that you guys adopt this and embrace this entire conversation, like the AI and the data-driven decision-making capabilities are out of this world. The AI itself is without question going to become an integral part of every single business at some point in time. And my perspective on this is the sooner you get ahead of the curve, the better. And, yes, there's a learning curve involved. And yes, it's not perfect. Like conceptually, some of the results that we're seeing there are just so mind-blowing. And the businesses that are really grabbing it by the horns are the ones that are going to just get a huge leap in front of their competitors. Yes, there will be ups, there will be downs, there will be some things that don't work, there will be some things that work incredibly well. It's important that when you approach these new tools and these dynamics that you understand that there is a learning curve involved with it and that you need to be able to approach it like that. Okay, well, what can we tweak here? What tweaks can we make to improve the overall outcome of this, given service, whatever? The AI-powered predictive analytics and things like that, they're going to be really heavily geared, looking forward into optimization in the space of consumer behaviors and things like that. And what I mean by that is even quite simply, what we're doing with businesses on the front end of managing leads and being able to have conversations with customers that are looking for an outcome. That stuff is very, very, you're going to see a lot of movement in that space. And it's already amazing and it's just going to get better and better. The other thing that I think you need to be well and truly in preparation for is the voice search revolution, if you want to call it that. Essentially, because, and I'll give you the example of this just to give you guys a bit of context as to what it means. But again, so much opportunity here for you guys because it's put a breath of fresh air into like organic marketing in the space of SEO and those kind of things, which truthfully has gone a bit stale. And what I mean by this is your search queries essentially now are going to become so heavily geared towards voice. So people are going to start people are already talking into search engines. People are talking into ChatGPT. They're talking into all these different, AI programs. And instead of typing them into keyboards. And so it's changed the dynamic of what search looks like. The term for it is AEO. I did a blog on this recently and I'm going to record another podcast on it. But essentially it's about, okay, well, how do we optimize the search capabilities focusing now around our voice agents? Okay, so an agent being like your OpenAI agent or even Siri, to be honest, as my phone and probably half your phones light up as I say that. But, there's really cool things that are coming into place there in the space of being able to talk into your devices in order to get an outcome. And that has a direct reflection and implication on the search capabilities from a search engine point of view, right? So the way to take the best advantage out of this is by adapting and implementing a bit more of a conversational tone within your content. Again, it's been a very exciting journey, and we're really enjoying actually going on, taking this sort of breath of fresh air and applying it to client campaigns and things like that, because crystal balling this stuff, it's going to be amazing looking forward. The other thing I would recommend is investing into the personalization and the personalized experiences. So building trust through deeper personalization. And I'll give you an example of this as well. So there's obviously a lot of like ground level tactics that we've been deploying for years and years. Take, for example, an email that goes out, hey, insert first name, blah, 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 whatever. But now that we have the capability to sort of capture so much more data, and the tools are getting so much more smarter, you can really go an extra layer of depth into personalizing these experiences. And I've said this before on the podcast, and I'll say it again without question. You guys are not in the plumbing or electrical or, roofing business. You guys are in the data business. And the sooner that you guys can start capturing more data and using that data to your advantage through segmentation, tagging, list building, whatever it might be, the better it's going to be for you. Because inevitably what you want to be doing, and we're seeing this now with when we're running, like pretty much every single client that we work with now, before we even consider running an ad, the first thing we do is a reactivation campaign. And what that basically does is it takes their existing assets, their lists, their databases, their contact lists, like whatever it might be, and we run campaigns towards them which are hyper-personalized. And to give you an idea of what that looks like, it might be, hey, insert name, or hey, Bob, hey, Sally, just wanting to reach out to you. I know we sent out a quote for you regarding a bathroom renovation, 12 months ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it might be. Are you guys still interested in these, in getting the bathroom renovated, or has that been taken care of? Like, you're going an extra layer of depth into these personalization measures, which is tying it back to that specific contact. So it's very powerful because the engagement levels off the back of it go through the roof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a couple of leaving thoughts here, and then I'm going to jump straight into an example of how this could apply to you. And this is quite truthfully the framework that we would apply to 90% of people that we deal with over at Trading Web Guys, and it's insanely effective. The first thing I would encourage you guys to do is take the time to think and strategize. Now, I don't mean this in a woo-woo manner. I really want you to sit down with a notepad and engineer what the business is you would like it to look like within 12 months. What is the turnover? What does the team look like? What are the products and services that you're delivering? Just really have a good hard think about it. If you don't know, and it's okay if you don't know, but you need to learn what your numbers are. Now, I'll give you a prime example of what this is, of what I mean by this. You can't not know what your lead costs are if you're running paid traffic. You can't not know how many of those leads you need to win a customer. So that's your cost per acquisition. You can't not know, or you'd be foolish to not know anyway, what your lifetime value is of a customer. And I'll tell you why that's so important. Because if you're in a reactive space and you know that your cost per acquisition is $500, $600, $1,000, let's say your service is a block drain and you're only charging $600 for it. If you didn't know that your lifetime value for that customer is 10, 20,000, 40,000 plus over the lifetime, then you're never going to spend that money, the $1,000 to get that customer. But if you do understand that your lifetime value is 40 grand, you'll spend $1,000 a day to get that customer every day of the week. So understand your numbers. Cost per lead, cost per acquisition, lifetime value. Now, I'll run through a little example here of, like I said, a very typical scenario, and maybe you relate to this and maybe you don't, but you're a trade business, you're sitting at about 50K a month in revenue, and you want to scale that to 100K a month. You've been wanting to do that for a while, but you've never been able to crack that nut. The reason for that is your word of mouth or your referral based. So you don't really get all of your leads that come in are coming in through people that have given you referrals or something along those lines, right? Your average ticket sale item is maybe 25 grand. So maybe you're solar, or maybe you're a bathroom renovation or kitchen renovation or whatever it is, right? So you know that if you're going to increase your revenue by an extra 50K a month, you need to sell an extra couple of jobs consistently, right? Now, it's very hard to scale, if not impossible to scale referrals. In my experience, I've never seen anyone do it very well. So you need a solution to this. Now, in order to get 2 more jobs locked in, again, tying back to knowing your numbers, we need to figure out, okay, well, what sort of money do we need to spend to generate the leads, to acquire the customers for you to be able to close 2 more jobs jobs a month. So we need to work those numbers out. And then we need to go, okay, cool. Once we've hit these 2 extra jobs a month, what does the actual business look like? We need to sit back and we need to revisit the strategy and the goals and say, okay, well, are we happy where we are right now, or do we want to be doing more? And if the answer is that we want to be doing more, that's okay. But there are things that we need to improve. And some of those things are not obvious. And I'm going to run through them now. First of all, if you want to be doing more jobs, you're needing to be getting more leads. Now, in order to be getting more leads, you need a better sales process. And this is 100% of the time the thing that trips up straight after we start generating leads. It's sales process, which is why we give our clients a customized sales process for them to follow using best practice that we see working across the board. And then we tweak it to suit their business. So what does that mean? Okay, we need a system that can manage leads, and then we need somebody that can take the load off, or something that can take the load off in the space of making sure that the leads are ending up in site visits and the site visits are getting attended to. So does that mean you need to hire someone? Maybe. What we're doing, which is working amazingly well for our clients, in the interest of managing leads and freeing up the time of either the salesperson that's already in position or the business owner who is doing the sales, we're deploying our TradieBot AI system, which essentially will triage and qualify all of the leads when they come into the business, and it will book those leads into a discovery call with a person. And that person could be a business development manager, it could be the director, but essentially when the business owner wakes up that morning and he checks his calendar, he knows the leads that are in that calendar have already been pre-qualified and they've already ticked the box. And then he has to go through, do the site visit and close the job, which of course then again is a sales conversation, sales process conversation. We have training on how to improve that. But then in order to get to that number on whatever he deems is the next goal, we need to increase the budget to hit it, because we already know the numbers at this point. So if we've used those numbers to get to this point and we understand those, then it's an easy equation. We just say, right, in order to hit those next numbers, we need to spend this much more. And then we'll get these many more leads, which will then end up in this many more discovery calls, which will then end up in this many more site visits, which will then end up in this many more closed jobs. It just becomes an equation. It's really, really quite simple. Now, the things that are not quite obvious at that point is knowing full well where we want to hit and where we want to reach as in terms of our objective. We need to start predicting what that looks like in terms of fulfillment. So if we know that in 3 months' time, we're going to be hitting from 100K months to 150K months, we need to make sure that we have the right fulfillment team in place to be able to deliver on those projects. What does that look like? Okay, maybe I need one more technician out there that can install solar or, do bathrooms or whatever it might be. Maybe I need another apprentice. Maybe I need another vehicle, so on and so forth. So if we understand where we want to go and we can engineer the business to be at that point there and we scale towards it, you literally can't lose. It's the perfect storm. You've got everything you need. You've got the team in place. Once you get there, you've got the leads, you've got the work. Everything then falls into place for you based on the strategy that you went and took the time to deluge, whatever that word is, early in the piece. Everything is in line with the strategy that you set out and you created at the beginning of the year. And now it's just a case of following the game, rinse and repeat. And that's exactly how you do it. That's exactly how you scale from 50K a month to 100K a month, from 100K a month to 500K a month, from 500K a month to $1 million a month. You just keep using that process. Of course, there's other dynamics that come into play as the business gets bigger. But what I'm trying to say to you guys is use the strategy to help you understand and help you set a North Star of where you want to get to. And then it's just a case of following the plan, man. Anyway, I hope that was helpful to you guys. If you need any more insight into that, or you want to connect with us and help you get to that point, that's exactly what we do. You can head across to tradiewebguys.com.au. Otherwise, I wish you guys the best 2025. Such an exciting space. There's so much opportunity there for you guys. And I can't wait to see some of your results come through. Look forward to chatting to you guys in the future. Take care. New Zealand-based home renovation company, 6,593% ROAS. Sydney-based solar company, 2,700% ROAS. Hunter region-based bathroom renovation company, 5,616% ROAS. Melbourne-based building company, 13,182% return on ad spend. Adelaide-based solar company, 2,881% return on ad spend. Guys, the list goes on and on. If you're a trade-based business and you work with projects like roofing, heating, solar, bathroom renovations, kitchen renovations, anything like that, head across to tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Tradie.wiki/pod for podcast. Book in a conversation. It is game changing.